Hi, I'm Rory. I'm an architect in the Microsoft identity space. So I do Azure AD, ADFS. I also do stuff with Auth0 and some stuff with Identity Server. And I have a blog up on Medium called the New Control Plane, and there is the URL. And my Twitter handle is @rbrayb. And there are 10 of these little snippets up on YouTube. It's just to do a 5-minute presentation on something that you can dip into and dip out at lunchtime or when you're commuting or whatever. So today what we're going to look at is, do we need ADFS? Where does ADFS stand? In other words, is it really goodbye ADFS? And the genesis of this was this particular post that I saw up on the internet, which was like, thanks for the memories, like ADFS is dead. Well, maybe at the end of this presentation you will probably agree that it isn't, but let's have a look. And here's another example, a presentation called Goodbye ADFS, Hello Modern Authentication. Modern Authentication is very much OpenID Connect, which is supported by ADFS 2016. And if you read the blog, it's more about the way that you can do pass-through authentication with Azure AD. Now, Okta has a famous series of articles about ADFS. And this is an article that shows you what you need in the ADFS world if you want to have HA. So you can see you need 2 ADFS servers, you need 2 ADFS proxies, you need firewalls, you need load balancers, and so on. And that is true, but Okta's kind of premise is that if you use Okta, you don't need any of this infrastructure and you can save yourself a whole lot of server licenses. And that's true as well. But the point to note is that that is true of any cloud service. So it's true of Auth0, it's true of Optima IDM, of Azure AD, of Ping. The same principle applies to all of them. Right, so this is one of the reasons why you can maybe get rid of ADFS. So we have pass-through authentication. So what you do is you install a pass-through agent on your on-premises infrastructure. And basically this is a kind of a relay bus. So when you come into Azure, you use the relay bus to get to AD, and you can authenticate with your AD. But again, you don't need ADFS. And this is a really good solution for a kind of a simple cloud installation where maybe you're only using Office 365. If you're using Office 365, yeah, you don't need ADFS in this kind of scenario. Or we could look at seamless SSO. So seamless SSO is that we can translate sign-ins in the cloud into Kerberos, and this is really useful for domain joined devices where you pretty much get SSO. Or we could use password hash, where basically you use AAD Connect. It hashes the passwords up to the cloud, and then the stuff that you do in the cloud can use the passwords that in a cloud. Again, you don't need anything on premises. You don't need ADFS. So those are 3 general use cases where this is absolutely true. And again, here is a decision tree that Microsoft have published to make your mind up about these things. So federation down here is ADFS. So let's have a look. So do you want cloud authentication with password protection? No. Do you have an existing federation provider? Yes, because you've got ADFS. Do you want cloud authentication instead of integrating with your federation provider? No. Do you need cloud-based auth? No. So this is the path that kind of says this is where you need ADFS. These are the other paths for password hash, sync, seamless SSO, pass-through authentication, and so on. And just to point out that all these links come from my blog. So my blog is called The New Identity Plane, and you can go and read the full article, and there's a whole lot more information around this. Okay, so when do you need ADFS? Well, you need it when you're doing sign-on with smart cards and certificates, because you can't do that in Azure AD. If you've got some kind of on-premises MFA server, you need it. Some kind of third-party server that you use in a particular scenario. If you've got multi-site on-premises solutions. So I see this a lot. You've got ADFS, and there's all kinds of federations with SAML and WSFed that are there for specific reasons. Now, some of those you can do in Azure AD. There is a whole lot of applications in Azure AD that you can hook in, And if it's not in the list, you can use custom setup. That custom setup means you have to manually set up the SAML. Now, that's not that easy. You can't import metadata. And in some cases, it's actually really hard to do because of particular claims requirements. So that may not be an option. Azure AD doesn't have claims rules. So claims rules are really powerful things inside ADFS. It's a batch language where you can do all kinds of things to the claims. You can delete them, you can put them together, you can join them, concatenate them, do all kinds of regex and all kinds of whizzy things. Token customizations like SHA-256 could be another reason. And of course, SAML 1.1 for WS-Fed. So continuing, if you can't trigger multi-factor authentication rules with conditional access, that would be a reason. Although conditional access in Azure AD is almost daily increasing by leaps and bounds, there are some scenarios that you can't do at the moment. Obviously, if you want to do things like integrated Windows Auth or smart cards, if you've got an MFA provider like RSA, Vesco, or YubiKey, another reason. If you're using the domain joined ones for device-based conditional access, if for some reason you want the authentication to take place on premises, or if you want to create a trust between SharePoint on premises and Azure AD, and you don't have Azure AD Premium. So those are more reasons for when you have to use ADFS. So Mark Twain heard rumors of his death, and he was asked, so how does he feel about reading his own obituary? And he famously said, rumors of my impending demise are greatly exaggerated. And I think the same is true for ADFS. Thanks for listening.